Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is Aaron Warner, the headmaster of the New Hope Christian School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, the New Hope Christian School, I don't think you've ever been on the show before. I've had various schools, including UCA, but never the New Hope Christian School. So you're going to have to start off by telling us about it a little bit.
Sure. Well, we're still a pretty new school, pretty young. This is our fourth school year. So we started, oh boy, I'm not even sure what year it was, 4 years ago. So we started with just 20 students, and now we're up to 80 students. So every year we've had consistent growth.
So really, 80 students. That's what grades are those?
We currently have kindergarten through 8th grade.
That surprises me. You have that much. What is driving your school?
As far as the growth, you mean?
Yeah. Because.
Well, I would say that we've had some good teachers. That has definitely helped. I think people. So we started during COVID. It was right during COVID. So I think people were looking for a little bit different, some options that were out there. So I think we came in at a good time, and we've just had some good teachers, and we've had some good results. I think parents are very happy with what their kids are learning, and they're happy with the growth that they're seeing as students. So that's just all has contributed to the growth of the school.
So how did the school come about? Is it a particular church, or is it a group of churches, or is it non-denominational, or?
So it is non-denominational, but it is under the New Hope Bible Church. And the church has been talking about having a school for probably 15 years. It's been in the plans. And then during COVID, when a lot of schools were shutting down, just the leadership of the church figured the time was right to get started. So they had reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in heading up the school. And at the time, I was teaching 8th grade science down at Linden Town School. And it's kind of an interesting story that literally the day after I signed my contract for the next year was when Pastor Lawson, the pastor of New Hope, had reached out to me, asked if I'd be interested in heading up the school. And I had to be honest, and I said, I literally just signed my contract, so I really feel like I need to honor it. So if you can find someone that would take it on for the first year, and then I would come on in year 2. And so he was good with that, and we started, and I came on in year 2, and now we're into year 4.
Good. How many students did you start with?
20 students the first year.
So that's pretty. Are you picking up numbers every year then?
So interesting enough, it's literally 20 students a year. So 20 to 40 to 60, now to 80. So it's been very, the same type of growth every year.
So have you had a few people graduate from there to go on to high school?
Yeah, I think the first year I was here, there was 2 8th graders that graduated. Last year, I think there were 6, and this year we have 9. So,
so explain to the viewers and the listeners where the church, and because it's located at the church, on the church grounds, or
it is. So most people in the community are now familiar with River of Life Camp, a youth camp that's been running for 20 years. Very well received in the community. So we're actually on the same property as the camp is.
And that's located where?
In Irisburg on Route 14, between Irisburg and Coventry, about halfway between those 2 villages.
It's located in the same place where the corn maze.
Yes, that's correct.
Is the school working out better than they originally thought it would?
Well, I think they always had a sense there was a need for more options out there, options that were private school, faith based, but also more affordable. So I think there was always that need out there. So I don't think they necessarily knew it would take off this quickly, but I think they knew that it would grow.
Just out of curiosity, did you go to a Christian school or did you go to a public school?
It was a mixed. I went to public school in Orleans Village for kindergarten and first grade, and then I went to a small Christian school from grades 2 to 8, and then to Lake Region for my high school years.
Then I understand you have some plans for the future about even growing more.
Yeah, we're running out of space where we're currently at. Even though it's a very large building, it's limited on classrooms. So we have a plan in place. We have an agreement with the Irisburg Grace Brethren Church, which is a mile away. It sits up on the hill by Royer's gas station. They're going to let us use their building for the next school year, where we're going to move our junior high, so seventh and eighth grade, as well as we're going to start a high school. But for the first year, we're just going to do grades 9 and 10. And our hope is the following year to add grade 11 and then most likely grade 12 the year after that.
But when you say you're moving, now the move to Grace Brethren, is that temporary or is that while you build something else or is that
So
permanent?
it is temporary. We just don't know exactly what that means yet. I believe personally that to have the whole school on one campus is the best option. But because of lack of space here, this provides a good in between step. So whether that is just for 1 year or we're looking into a little bit more than that, we're open to whatever will work out. We did sign an agreement just for 1 year, and then we're gonna evaluate a year from now to see how it's working out for both us and the church.
So how do you move forward now? Do you need numbers? Like, is there a certain number of people you want, or are you willing to start off with two or
As far
20?
as the high school, well, we already
Yeah.
have three, so we already have a couple people that are on board. So yeah, it's going to take, I think, more time than the elementary grades to grow, and we're fine with that. I think the proof is going to be in the pudding, as they say. That over time, I think when we turn out students that are ready for college and that are learning, having a great faith based education along with it, I believe it'll grow. And one thing that we are going to be able to offer, we are in talks with a pretty well known university in Texas, a Christian college called Laterno. And not this coming year, but the year after, we're going to start what they call a dual enrollment, where students in their junior year here at New Hope will also take, so their classes will count both for high school and for college. So it's possible when they leave here, they can have 40 to 50 credits all ready to go for college.
So why do you feel that it's so important to have a mix of faith and academics?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So the faith, I would say, is our lens, how we look at things, how we look at the world. We try to look at scripture and what that says for our lives and how we're to live. And so this gives the students a way to look at the world and things that are happening in the world through the lens of that faith, of that scripture. And but at the same time, I don't want to lose track of having a prestigious, that's not the right word, but having a high academic standards is what the goal is. So I believe that they can walk hand in hand, because If we are walking according to our faith, we should want to excel with the gifts God has given us, and that includes in our academic pursuits.
Um, and you said so people go there from various churches. Then it's not just from the River of Life.
Yes, that's correct. We have a number of churches that are represented, and we take families that don't go to church. We see this as both a way to disciple those kids who are in the faith, and but also as a way to introduce the faith to students who may not have that background.
Now, why do you think choice is so important? You're saying that give another choice for people in the region.
Yeah, so I think choice is a it's a big part of life. Like when you go to buy a car, you typically don't go to the first dealership and grab the first car you see. You shop around, you look around, you try to find out what car is a best fit for your family, with the roads that you live on. So I just think for too long we've had you're pigeonholed into a school because of where you live. This gives parents an option that maybe they want to go to the public school in their area, and that's great. Maybe they want to go to a public school, and I know there's others in the area that they can look at. This just gives another option for parents. I think the more options we give them, the better off it is for everybody.
So when your child goes to public school, it's largely paid for out of tax dollars. How does somebody pay? How do you how does a person who goes to your school, how do they pay?
Okay, so yeah, we don't take any money from the state or federal government. It's all through donations, or there is a tuition that the parents are given to pay, but it is considerably lower than a lot of private schools might be. So when we started the school, we really wanted it to be affordable for everyone, and so the price point is where most parents can afford it. But for those that can, we never want to turn a child away simply because of finances. So we have opportunities to raise money for scholarships, and we do give out 20 to 25,000 in scholarships every year.
Do you do the does your school does it do the standard, I guess you would call it core curriculum, like English, social studies, math, and I suspect you would probably have a bit of Bible in it.
Yes, yes. So our core subjects would be Bible. We like to always list that first. So we have Bible, math, language arts, history. So we're very big into history here, and science as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're into history because, as you know, in my real life, I write history of the region, and I think just understanding history, whether it be local or all the way to globally, is so important. And I'm sure you go back even to biblically.
Sure. Yeah. For our history classes, especially as you get into the upper grades, they alternate years. One year they'll have U.S. history. The next year they'll have world history, and it goes way back to the beginning of people.
So it sounds like you've been well received in the community. What are the parents saying about your school? Or, what have they told you?
Well, I think we've had great feedback from them. They're very excited by the fact that their kids come and that they are among like-minded kids who really want to work hard and excel. We've had some say that in the public schools they were often looked down on because they really wanted to do well. That the cool thing was to not work, try hard, or not to put in their best effort. So I believe that's good. Also, there's a healthy level of competition that kids are pushing each other to go even further with their education, which I think is great. And I would say our behavior, not that our kids are perfect, like every day we're dealing with behavior, just like any other school. But if you were to walk into any classroom, you would see that there's the disruptions aren't enough that it's impacting other students' learning, that the teachers are continuing to teach their lesson, and we don't have these big disruptions where we have to clear the classroom. It's just been a good situation for most families, and we really haven't lost any families. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've a few for different reasons, but for the most part, our retention rate is very high.
Sounds like you have a healthy level of expectations of the students and probably of the parents too.
Yeah, there's a good relationship, I think, between ourselves and the parents. And as someone who taught in the public school, I'll be honest that calling home to talk to parents about behavior and getting the attitude that they're with you during that time and I don't really want to hear about it, and compare that to now when I call home and talk to parents about behavior, parents are very receptive to that and they say thank you very much, we'll take care of it. And just knowing that by the change in attitude the next day, I know it was taken care of. So there's just a great relationship, I believe, between us and the parents.
Do you think it's, without dishing public school or anything, but do you think it's a difficult time for young people to just be young people and students?
Do I think it's a difficult time?
Yeah, do you think, with all the distractions, whether it be the news, whether it be social media, do you think you can offer something that you can handle you can handle such issues that might arise from those things better than say the public school is able to?
I mean, that's a good question. I know it's a little bit comparing apples to oranges. I don't want to diss the public schools. I taught with some
Right.
amazing teachers down at Linden Town School, and they put their heart and their soul into it. So I certainly don't want to come across sounding like I'm dissing it. I know they have a lot more challenges than we probably have. We can turn students away. Every family that I meet with, or every family that thinks of sending a child here, I do meet with them just to determine if a child is a good fit for the school. And I know public schools don't have that option. So I would say that I'm just saying this as a preface to that question. But yeah, I think there's a lot more that's going on with kids nowadays than when I was in school. So I went to these local schools back in the, well, I guess I started in the 80s and on to high school in the 90s. I believe there's a lot more pressures that they face than I did as a child. I don't remember honestly a lot of pressures. Yeah, I guess high school we got into the peer pressure, but I feel like those pressures are starting even younger now. And I believe at our school it's a little bit more uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, it is manageable, I guess. So I think it maybe frees a student up to not have to feel quite so much of those pressures.
So where do the students usually go? Well, you haven't had many graduate from eighth grade yet. The ones who have, where have they gone on to? Have they gone on to Christian high schools or public schools or a
I
mix?
think I think pretty much all Lake Region, from where the kids live. I believe Lake Region has been where most of them have gone.
All right, we only have about 10 more minutes left. What more would you like to talk about?
Well, I just think New Hope is a great option for parents. I love the fact that we are out in the country. We sit on 58 acres of land, so we have a lot of opportunity just to get outside when the weather isn't so cold, which we've had a lot of that this year. But just to get out there, and we try to do that. We do work hard as a school. The students do work hard, but we like to think that we work hard, but then also reward those efforts with some fun experiences. I know being right next to a corn maze in the fall, we always have a big corn maze day once we get the work done. So we work hard, but then I guess we also play hard as well. And the students generally seem very happy to be here. Um, I can speak personally from, I guess, my own experience. I'm a dad that has 3 kids in the school as well. And before they came here, my wife, she tried her best, but she would even say she's not a homeschooler by heart. But where we were living at the time, we felt like that was the best option for our kids. But our kids were floundering, I would say. They were doing okay. But once they got here to school and they were challenged by both teachers, but also that healthy sense of competition, they've really started excelling here as a school or as students in the school. And so as a parent, I'm very appreciative how it's impacted my own students. And I believe I've heard very similar stories from many other families that they've just seen what it's done to their own kids and how holding them to high standards has really allowed them to push themselves and to reach that to really grow as a student. We sorry.
Yeah, I think. Okay, go on. No, go on. I
Yeah,
thought you
we
were.
we we don't push students through that students have to earn their next grade promotion. So students are working hard the whole year. They want to, of course, move on with their class. And I think that's good. We hold the bar high and they rise to that.
With my brothers and I, we went to just traditional public school. It seems to have worked out. But then my boys did too. Then my daughter, she did a mix of public and then Christian, and now her children, they go to uh, they live in Michigan. They go to a Lutheran preschool, but then they end up in public school, but they also have their church too. So they juggle. They're they go between the different forms of education. So yeah, so I'm a little experienced in all realms. I know enough to make myself dangerous when it comes to the knowledge about it.
And I know there's some pluses and minuses of many different situations, many different educational opportunities. So I don't want to say that we're the only fit for everybody, that it just depends on the family, depends on the student. But I believe for many that we're a good option.
No, I think it's great. Oh, and then I have another son. And I wanted to ask you this: is they go to a Montessori type of Monte? I don't know if I said it right, um, where it's a lot of hands-on type learning. Um, do you do a lot of hands-on, or is it mostly book work?
Well, that's a good question. So there's certainly some things like science are going to be much more hands-on, and with our younger students, as they're growing up through kindergarten, first, second, it's a little bit more hands-on. But we are classical education, so there is a lot of just traditional book learning. We don't have devices in the school. As far as a one-on-one, that just doesn't exist here. So it's maybe how you would have gone to school and how I went to school back in the 80s, where we're assigning textbooks. And so that is a large part of it. But we do try to add hands-on experiences when we can.
Okay, if somebody wants to learn more about the school, um, how can they reach you or somebody at the
Yeah,
school?
so there's information on our website, which is so it's all in letters. It's New Hope Christian Schools, so nhcsvt.org. Yes, that is correct. nhcsvt.org. So that's a great place to go to get started, just to learn more about the school. and what our beliefs are, what's our philosophy of education. That is all there. And on that website, there's contact information to reach out to me directly. The best way would be to email me, probably at headmaster at same website, nhcsvt.org.
Okay. Are you taking? Do you have open enrollment? What do you have enrollment possible in all your classes?
Yeah, there's more in some. Some classes there's a few spots, but we try to cap our classes at 15 students. So we had a couple of classes that filled last year, and I think as we continue to grow, more classes will fill. But yeah, we try to cap them at 15, and but right now there's opportunities in all classes. We just opened up enrollment for this coming year, and as of now, I believe we've already heard back from more than 95% of our current enrollees, and they're all coming back. So, like I said, the retention rate is very high. So, but we do have opportunities for new families to come in and join our family. And the process for that would simply be to reach out to me. And like I said, I always meet with the families first. We just try to determine if this is a good fit for them and it's a good fit for us as well. Then after that, we set up a shadowing time where their child can come in for an hour, 2 hours, up to 3 hours, and sit in the class, interact with the current uh, uh, classmates, and then to see how they like the experience. And then after that, parents can fill out the application, and we go from there.
You know, one thing I forgot to ask you: do they wear
So
uniforms?
we don't. We are maybe a little more laid back, and as that goes, we do have standards that we ask kids to not dress in certain ways, but we don't have a uniform though. No.
And does your school try to stay with the vacations? Do they try to stay in sync with the public school vacations, just in case maybe the family, one kid goes to public school versus maybe one with you?
So that is true with mostly Christmas break and also our February break, but we do not have an April break. One of our core tenets is that we really want to give our summers to the families here. So we do not have classes in June, July, or August. So we can literally tell parents that they have those 3 months completely to their kids. Like they don't have to come to school for those 3 months. So we finish before June is done. Or, I'm sorry, before May is done, we're done, and then we don't start until after Labor Day. So that does come with some ramifications because we have to meet the 175 days that the state requires us to meet. So we do have a Christmas break that will look very similar to the public school, and the February break is the same as the public school, but we don't have a ton of days off besides that. And sometimes the kids are asking, like, why don't we have this day off or this day off? But then at the end of May, I remind them that, hey, other schools are going now to June 20th. You have until
Right.
after Labor Day off. And then by that point it's warm and they're very happy that they're done.
Okay, and talk about being done. Uh, we've got to wrap up the show, so just your final
Well,
words.
I would love to hear from anybody who might be interested in a Christian school education for their children. And like I said, we do have openings right now, and we will be setting up shadowing opportunities. And we're doing that currently with families that are reaching out to us. So reach out to me, and I will be happy to meet with you, and we can determine if this is a good fit for your child.
Okay, thank you
All
for
right.
coming
Thank
on the
you.
show. Thank you. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.